Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance. On this episode, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into a little bit of Terence Crawford, a little bit of Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao 2024, Fury versus Nagano Face-Off, and Andy Ruiz. All this and so much more on this episode of Samp&Chance. So strap in, and thank you for letting us in your ears. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance. I am your host, Bobby Sampson. Joined with me, as always, is my man with the master plan, Mr. Chance Michaels. Chance, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. First week of school is almost in the bag. The weekend is almost quickly upon us. Quiet night in the ring in terms of shows. We have a couple matches coming, a couple cards this week. Hopefully we can get to them. But brother, the clock's up in the corner. I think it's time for us to do a little bit of rounds, man. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
All right, round number one. Let's talk about Terence Crawford. Yeah, he's been all over the place, but man, the guy's talking a lot of smack and now he's gloating a little bit. Let's get into it. Ding, ding. So Terence Crawford is recently calling out the likes of, there we go. Sorry. Terence Crawford is calling out the likes of, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman when he was trying to find the fight, and these guys were turning him down. Now the tables are turned, and it seems like everybody wants a piece of Terence Crawford, and now Terence is having fun with it, saying things like that, like, you guys didn't want to fight me when I was looking for the fight. Now you guys are never going to get a taste of these and this and that. Your thoughts on it? Is he justified?
Getting a little cocky. He's justified in what he's saying. He's getting a little cocky, a little arrogant. That's not usually the Terence Crawford that you see. So I don't know if he's just trying to build a fight up. He was calling out Canelo. He's calling out everybody. He wants a big fight. I hope, like Spence has said, they're fighting next. He's reenacted his rematch clause. So we're probably going to have to sit through that again, which is tragic because there's no point of it. Unless Errol Spence gets some step-aside money, and maybe Crawford will fight. I don't know what weight class he wants to fight at, 147, 154. He's calling everybody out. I don't know what he's going to do next. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Terence is kind of like, he's got all the 4 belts, right? There's guys there who are looking for that fight as well. So, I mean, I think first thing that Terence has to do, and I'm only speaking about it this way because of our good friend, Cody Crowley, right? Like you got Boots waiting in the wings for one of those titles, right? I mean, I think he's the IBF mandatory or the WBO. I'm not sure, but he's one of those. But the green belt belongs to Cody Crowley. Well, I mean, the opportunity belongs to Cody. Right?
I'm not sure why Showtime doesn't just do Boots. Cody winner can have Crawford. Let's get it on. They're in the same stable. It should be easy to make.
Well, yeah, they're on the same platform and whatnot, but at the same time, why would a guy like Cody Crowley or Boots want to risk a guaranteed title shot?
Absolutely. I know.
Right? I mean, that's what I would think, right? Like, why would I have to fight again to prove myself? I've already proven myself. Those two guys deserve a title shot. So Terence needs to think about that as well. Like, what are you going to do? If you're going to go to 154, let them go and let these guys fight. You know what? Now you could probably make that fight Boots versus Crawford or Crowley.
I also got a feeling that we might see Cody versus Keith Thurman, something like that. Like almost like Cody will take on the old gatekeeper to try to step over him to get to Crawford. Like, you're going to see Cody fight something. Maybe I know you guys is fighting soon, but I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. Showtime's got to get their welterweights and get them fighting.
Well, they got to figure it out, right? I mean, if you think about it, it's very crowded and there's a lot of talent and all the belts are in there stable right now. So, I mean, they got to figure that out pretty quick, right? But I at the same time, if Terence is going to go to 154, he needs to make that decision. I get it. To be completely honest, I think the honeymoon period is over. Like, in terms of the excitement and the partying, he's had the parade, he's had everything, and take nothing away. He's earned every single opportunity and every moment that people are cherishing him. So I'm not shitting on him in any way. All I'm saying is, bud, make a choice and make a decision. Let's just move on.
You are 35, but you're not getting younger. It's time to
100%. 100%. All right, brother, man, that round is over. Let's get started on the second round. So we talked about Spence a little bit here a little earlier, right? So why don't we talk about Errol Spence here looking for a brand new trainer? Have you heard about that?
I heard about that. Yeah. Who is he considering?
So let's get this round started. Here we go. Round number 3 or round number 2 is it started here. So what I've seen is that Floyd might be a potential candidate for him. Like he's looking to maybe walk away from Derek James. Do you think that's a wise choice in a rematch? I mean, you've been with this guy your whole life. I mean,
I don't think so. I mean,
what
you're
can
undefeated with them up until you had one bad night. You got beat by a better box, and you want to ban your trainer. It's like
well,
he's
that's what I'm
panicking.
saying.
And if you
But
think Floyd will be able to train you to beat Crawford, it doesn't matter who's training you. You're not going to beat him.
well,
I
here's
mean,
the
so
thing.
it's
First off,
wishful thinking.
Derek James, trainer of the year,
Yeah.
one bad outing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How much is that on him though? At the end of the day, then this is what I love about combat sports. You have your trainers and everything, but ultimately it's you against
Exactly.
that other warrior. It's like Joker against who on Sunday.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do. It's when you're on that court, it's you against the other guy, the other girl against the girl, sort of a deal. So
And you know Mayweather would love to take him because he doesn't really have any notable fighters in Mayweather Promotions. He was the fighter, Mayweather Promotions. He needs to get guys like Spence. He needs to get a stable up to compete with Top Rank and Showtime, and even Golden Boy is ahead of Mayweather Promotions right now. So I can see Spence joining up with Floyd. It's very, very
well,
likely.
no, it could make sense, but I mean, what's he going to teach him? Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the only mistake that probably we'd have to talk about, honestly, on Derek James' part as the trainer, your guy can't fight southpaws, and this is something I never clicked in my own head, right? To be fair, I don't know if you ever thought about that because I know we never talked about it. How many southpaws has Spence ever fought?
That's a good question. I don't know the number offhand.
Right,
Not many.
but none.
Under five.
Virtually, and if they were soup cans. No
Yeah.
disrespect to them, but they weren't
They weren't
worthy
world class fighters like
opponents,
Crawford. Absolutely.
right? Anyone of world class caliber southpaw that he could contend with, notice he never came across them.
I know. There's a
He
reason
never
for that.
touched them, right? But here's the thing: it's not to say that Bud is a natural southpaw, but as we know that he hurt his hand when he was a kid,
Yeah,
and
so
that's what taught him to kind of become a southpaw. My understanding is, and please quote me, I'm not quoting this to be exact, but my understanding was that he decided to go southpaw when he was making his ring entrance,
that's what he says. That's what they say. Yeah, so it could be.
right? Like, oh,
That'll mess up Derek James' game plan pretty fast.
right?
You know what
But
I mean?
again, this is where Derek James, I think, maybe could have done a better job as a trainer is prepare him for a southpaws. Like, I mean, this is not something new,
That's true. Yeah.
right?
No.
And it's new only because it's kind of making more sense. But obviously, this problem has been an underlying problem for most of his career.
Sometimes change is good, but you've been with Derek James. He got you to be an undefeated world class fighter. You had one bad night. Shouldn't abandon him that quickly. You're panicking. I wouldn't recommend it. See
No,
what he
no, no.
does.
Well, let's see what he does. So there we go. That's the end of that round. All right, man. I think you've been waiting for this one, so let's get right into it. Manny Pacquiao saying that he wants to fight for the Philippine national team at the 2024 France Olympics. Wow, what do you think? You're the Pacquiao guy, man. This is your round.
Yeah, I hope he does. I just want to see
Let
him
me
fight. I
let
mean,
me
he'll
hold.
easily make the team. That's a no. They'll give him. They'll get the spot on the team.
Okay,
Absolutely. Now, will he
I'm
win gold? He's got to win gold, though. If you're one of the best fighters ever, 44 now or 45, going to be at the time Olympics, you need to win that gold medal because it would. He's taking a lot of risk here because he's fighting guys. These guys will be 20, 21 years old guys. He'll want to be their dad. So I mean, I hope he does it. I love to see him. He loves to train. People don't realize that Pacquiao loves to train. This keeps him in shape, keeps him going, keeps him active. He said he wants to do it, and when he says he's going to do something, he usually does do it. So I'm all for it. If he can, still in great shape. He says he moves like a 20-year-old. Why not do it? Put
okay.
one more feather in your cap.
Well, here's I mean, you're the Pacquiao guy, right? I should be just
Mm.
holding the pads and you taking your shots on him, man.
Yeah, I hope he does it.
Um, I look at it from this perspective. I think he has more advantages than most of the people that would be in that competition, speaking overall. First off, the ring experience that this guy's had as a
Oh,
professional and everything
insane.
combined, right? Now, we're talking about a guy going back down to the amateur rank. So he's going to be wearing headgear and everything. So there's
Yeah,
not too much in terms of damage that I don't think he's going to face there. If anything, it's going to be like, pillow punches to him,
pretty much. He will. Yeah, compared to
right?
some of these heavy hitters. Yeah,
Well, considering who's been in the ring with, man, I mean, look at the list of guys that he's had wars with,
yeah.
right? Like
But I know what you're saying.
legitimate,
He's gonna be fighting amateurs that have never had the professional experience and been
right?
bigger guys than them and stuff,
Right.
right? He's gonna have
Now,
a huge.
now we look at the training facilities and where these guys all come from outside of countries like Great Britain, the United States. And, I hate to say it, but I wouldn't put Canada on this list. And that's really unfortunate.
Mhm.
The training facilities, the way they train their guys outside of those two countries, maybe Cuba.
Well, we heard Cody say it for himself. The training from Ontario to Las Vegas, and he went there like he wasn't a top guy anymore. He was getting worked at first. Remember, he's crying, wanted to go
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
So there's levels to this. He
No,
nailed it
no.
perfectly. I
Right.
think he'll do it. The only thing is, if Pacquiao does do this and win gold, he's going to set a trend. You're going to see other pro boxers say, "I didn't win gold. I'm going to go back to the amateurs and do it." And there's nothing wrong with it because the NBA does it. All these LeBron and Michael Jordan, they all won gold medals at the Olympics. So it's not uncommon for the pros to go back to the amateurs and have a competition. So I think if he does do it, you're going to see a lot of other boxers follow suit.
The only drawback I see to it again, and one can argue this for the hockey and one can argue this for the basketball as well. I mean, the Olympics are a celebration of amateur
It
sports,
takes
right?
away from he's taking a spot from somebody.
That's the only thing I'd say. But I mean,
Yeah, I agree with that.
and that's just across the board, right? For me.
Yeah,
I get it. You're retired, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's the only thing I would have to say. But that being said, I still want to see him do it. That's the thing, right?
If he wants it, they're going to give him the spot. No questions
No,
asked. He's got
right?
it.
That's just the thing, right? So, I mean, who's going to argue with him? All right.
Exactly.
Well, wish him the best. Let's see what happens
Yeah,
here,
hope
man.
so.
That's the end of that round. Let's get right into round number 4. So this past week, we had the kickoff press conference between Fury and Nagano. Entertaining to say the least,
Well,
man.
Fury's at about 300 pounds right now. He's grabbing his fat. And he's like, he's like, you're a bodybuilder, the classic Fury, you're a bodybuilder, and I can still do all this stuff, but he's not in great shape right now. The only one thing I don't know if you heard of Bob Evans, because he was at the press conference, Frank Warren's at the press conference after the interviewing Bob. He said, "Hey, Fury better take this seriously because obviously Bob's more he's selling it, but he's saying Nagano hits hard, which he does hit hard. Fury needs to lose some weight and he needs to train better because he's about 300 pounds right now, 290 at 300. He's got a month to lose it, but I hope he doesn't think this will be a cakewalk and then get caught." So I'm not saying that he will, but he doesn't look. I don't think he's taking it that serious just by looking at his body shape. What do you take from it?
Okay, so you said that piece, and I'm gonna just go back to this past weekend's UFC main event. One could argue that Israel Adesanya did not take that fight seriously at all, right? And Strickland basically dominated that fight for 4 rounds to 1, right? I mean, I don't even know which round to give Izzy, to be completely honest. I know we're completely off topic, but
I know what you're saying.
That same philosophy, if that's the case, I mean, we're in for a shock of shocks.
Well, this is going to be Bob and Fury, doing the old promoter card. But if you look at Fury's body, there's something about Bob's saying because he's never been a bodybuilder, but there's a lot of fat on his body. He needs to lose some weight. He even said that. Yeah. The question is that now Fury's saying, "I don't want to fight you, say. I'm going to fight John Jones next." Like he's just doing he could just be, like I said, Fury's a promoter himself. He's always talking.
Well, I get it. If he wants to fight John Jones, look. If that's the case, then relinquish your title.
There's a rematch clause in this too. If Fury loses, a rematch clause, eh?
Right. Well, but see, this is where the WBA or WBC has to step in. Then at that point, because that's not fair for the guys who are actually, boxing is their life, right? If Tyson wants to go that path, I'm going to watch all his fights. I don't care, right?
Of course.
Regardless of it, that's always going to be fun.
Why does he just fight? You say beat the guy up, take the belt, and then do these fights. I'm not sure.
To be honest, that is the only thing missing from his crown.
I know.
Undisputed.
He knows he can beat him. He will beat him.
I think that fight's going to happen. It will happen in the new year. It's bound to happen. If it doesn't happen, then shame on Tyson Fury. Because I mean, that's
what's Tyson going to do? Box John Jones and beat the crap out of the guy? Like it's not even a fair fight. But he's saying he wants to get in the cage. I don't know. He's just talking smack.
Let's see what he does here. Like I say, if he's not coming into this fight prepared, like you're thinking he's looking at,
I got a bad feeling. Yeah, he'll still win, but I think he's going to dominate.
But the thing is, you're going up against a guy who's taking it seriously, right?
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that I would say that Nagano would probably have a hard time with is this cardio over the length, right? I mean,
10-round fights.
Has he ever gone 5 rounds in the UFC?
Yes, he has. Yeah.
Okay, but he was gassed.
This is a 10-round fight,
and this is a 10-round, right? So 30-minute fight, and the reality is he has a puncher's chance, and if he's not prepared, he's going to knock him out.
Yeah, that's what Bob Aaron's worried about. So we'll see. Maybe he's just selling the fight, but it's going to be fun. I can't wait for it.
He will knock him out. All right, brother man. Talking from one big man to a shorter, but also a big man.
Yep.
Andy Ruiz, man, the guy cannot get a fight to save his life. So now he's calling all the top 4 dogs out, man. He's calling Fury out. He's calling
Wilder,
Usyk, Joshua. So the fight between him and Wilder technically should have been happening because they were the final of the eliminator for
Yeah,
the WBC title, which is Tyson's, right?
yeah.
But they didn't never make the fight because he wanted so much money, this and that.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
why Ruiz Jr. priced himself out of that fight. Should have took a little bit less. You still got a few million, and if you beat him like you beat Joshua, I mean, you're laughing. But why price yourself out of the fight? Now nobody's like you're too expensive. You don't bring in enough pay-per-view buys for us to pay you that. You need to
okay,
understand that.
so I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about that. I wanted to throw that in the Spence round. Speaking about pricing yourself out, now a lot of people are shitting on Devin Haney a lot, right? All the time.
Mm-hmm. The progress fight, yeah.
So this came out today or a couple days ago. I'm not sure, but I saw it today, anyways. Um, he took 2 million, a little bit over $2 million for the first fight against Kambosos, who got paid 10 million guaranteed.
That's a big gap.
That was a 70-30 deal right there, right? But he did it in order to make the fight happen.
And look what happened. He took his belts. Ruiz needs to think the same way. You've already upset Joshua. You probably won't do it to Wilder, but you do have a slim shot. Don't price yourself out of the fight, dude. You're not an A side. You got to understand that, dude. And I'm not sure what he's thinking. So I don't know who he's going to fight next. Maybe he'll fight like a Joy Joyce or a Zhang, maybe.
Well, I mean, okay, so let's look at the landscape right now with the heavyweights, right? We got Nagano Fury. We've already seen Joshua
We've seen Usyk, the
and
ball.
we've seen Usyk fight. Deontay hasn't fought since he knocked out Hellenius, though.
Yeah.
The fight in January is still supposed to be going down, but I don't know. They're waiting for the Saudis. That's what Eddie.
But another thing, Fury is saying the Saudis are taking over boxing, taking over sports. So they might just pay Fury so much money he'll have to fight Usyk. He won't be able to turn it down. Well, I think that's what they're going to do.
Ultimately, I mean, there's still hope. Fingers crossed that we get that amazing heavyweight card there.
That'd be insane.
But if worse comes to worse and we don't get, Joshua Wilder as the co-main event or the chief support, as I like to say now, Wilder Usyk as the main. You know what? I'm really curious to see what comes of the Zhang Joyce fight too.
September 23rd. Yeah, it's coming up quick.
Right. I'm looking forward to that one in particular because I think that will help move a lot of the cogs.
Yeah, but should be a good fight.
Him losing created a lot of problems in the division.
It did. And I'm telling you now, if it's Usyk Wilder will knock him silly. Wilder will knock Usyk out.
Let's find out, man. Wilder will knock him out. Fury will knock him out.
Yeah. He's a little guy fighting that big guy. It's hard. And he looked vulnerable now.
There you go. All right, man. That's the end of the round. And we did 5 rounds today, brother. I think that's pretty good for today. Tell you what, man, why don't you give me something? Anything happened on this day in boxing?
Yeah, something pretty big happened in Canada. 86 years ago today, George Chuvalo was born. Muhammad Ali called him the toughest opponent he's ever fought. In 93 fights, he had 73 wins, 63 by KO, and he was never knocked down in 93 fights. One time in 1956, he knocked out 4 opponents in one night, and he's still alive today. He does have Alzheimer's, but he's still alive. Jerry Gianco actually owns a ring that George Chuvalo and Muhammad Ali fought in. It's in his warehouse. I've seen it at school. One day he says we can set it up and do a podcast out of there when time's right.
Awesome, man. That sounds amazing. Can't wait to be part of that and enjoy that. Cool. Wow, that's some great history, man. I'd love to get him on the show, but I don't know if that's a possibility these days.
No, great guy. Actually, there's a Canadian band called Our Lady Peace. They had an album come out in 2010 or 2012. It's called Heavyweight. On the cover has George Chuvalo with the boxing gloves up.
Cool, very cool. Very cool. Definitely. All right, brother man. I tell you what, I know you have to hit the road here. The ice is calling you. So why don't we wrap this puppy up? Everybody, please. It goes without saying, have an amazing weekend. Be safe. Enjoy yourselves. Football is in full effect. So week 2, I hope everyone had a good week 1 in their fantasy pools. Other than that,
I lost week 1, man.
We haven't got to that. I was going to ask you what happened.
I have J.K. Dobbins. He got hurt, so he's out for the year. I have Mark Andrews, my tight end. He got hurt before the game. And then I had Joe Burrow as my quarterback. He threw for 80 yards. The rest is history. That just happens. It's fantasy. It's just luck, man.
Well,
you put the guys out there, you can't control what they do. It happens,
So I'm curious. I'll ask you off the air, but I'm curious to know who had Rogers.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. The thing is,
So
there's two QBs in the league. The thing I don't really like is a two QB league because then there's no QBs to pick up on the waiver wire. I'm not sure, but poor Rodgers out for the whole year. He'll come back. He'll be 40 years old next year.
I don't know if he comes back.
No, he's coming back. He said he is. I don't think he'll go out like this. Just running and getting tripped and then tore your Achilles. Like, oh,
Crazy,
not good.
crazy. All right, guys. I tell you what. So let's do this again. So everyone have an amazing, safe weekend. Do what you got to do. Have your fun and everything. But just remember, please, please, please be responsible. Remember your families. Remember the people that you love. It's just that's all it is, man. Just take that moment, 2 to 5 seconds of thought just to put shit away and just be responsible. You're saving your life, you're saving everyone else's life, and most importantly, you'll be able to come back Tuesday and listen to us again.
And if you're bored this weekend, whoever's listening, whoever's watching, go check out some George Chuvalo fights. He's a tough guy, big guy, strong, hits hard. They're on YouTube.
There you
Some
go.
black and white, some are color. Check them out.
Happy birthday, Mr. Chuvalo.
86. Yeah.
And on that note, my name is Bobby Sampson. He is Mr. Chance Michaels.
And the words of the great ACDC, those that download, like, and subscribe to the podcast, we salute you.
We do salute you. And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime and in between time, that's it for Samp&Chance. Everyone have a blessed weekend. Be safe. Samp&Chance out.